You can journal, say affirmations, visualize, do all the quantum jump meditations, but if your frequency isn't aligned with the thing you are desiring to manifest, that thing will not come. And today I want to talk about frequency through the lens of quantum physics because so many people out there think that energy or frequency is such woo-woo concept, but they are proven science. As you know, in order to manifest anything through the lens of quantum manifestation, which is the lens that I teach and practice manifestation through, you need to work on two things that are the root of your reality, and that is your identity and your frequency. So in today's episode, we are going to be diving deep into frequency, what it means, and why, even if you're doing all of the things, if your frequency is not aligned with your desire, it's just not going to happen. So if you've wondered why, despite all the personal development and manifestation practices that you've been doing, you are still stuck in the same place, you are not managing to manifest, or maybe you are not manifesting consistently, today we're going to be talking about why that is and what's really happening on an energetic level, the science, the subconscious, and the quantum mechanics that govern all of it. So welcome back to the Full Body Yes podcast. This is going to be such a good episode, so let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with something that you probably learned at school, and that is that everything around us and us ourselves is made up of atoms. Any physical object, including our own bodies, are made up of atoms. Now, for a very long time, scientists used to think that atoms were the smallest particle, the smallest building blocks of anything that seems physical and tangible in our reality. But with time, what quantum physics discovered is that there are actually particles that make up the atom. So the atom is not actually the smallest particle to exist. There is a nucleus, there are electrons, and mainly there is energy. So they discovered that the so-called solid atoms, or what they thought for so long that were, solid building blocks of anything in our reality, are not solid at all. Atoms are actually made of 99.9999% empty space. And what's inside that space is literal energy. And that is such a crazy discovery if you think about it, because literally everything that you're seeing that seems so tangible, that you can touch, that you can feel, is not matter at all. It is literally 99.99% energy, including our own body. At the deepest level, the chair that you're sitting on, the pieces of jewelry that you're wearing, the desk that you can touch, your hand, all of it is just slowed down energy, slowed down matter. And how slowed down it is what we call frequency. So we know, for example, we have radio waves, right? Those are frequencies as well, but they are a different frequency than our hand, for example, or the desk that we can touch, because they are slowed down at a different frequency, different speed. When things are very slowed down, that is when we can touch them. Okay, so the movement of energy happens at a measurable rate, and that rate is what we call frequency. As I said, every single thing in existence, including, by the way, your thoughts and emotions, it all vibrates at a particular frequency. Your body, the chair you're sitting on, the phone in your hand, and even your words, all of them are vibrating fields of energy. And those frequencies interact with one another in a vast ocean that we call the quantum field. So this was a very quick explanation on what energy is, what frequency is, and how it is proven on a science level, on a scientific level. Now, I do want to talk about words a bit more, because you might be like, okay, but words are not a physical object. How do we know that they are made up of energy? So let's talk about that for a second. So you are right that the chair and your body are physical matter. They are literally made of atoms, as we talked about. And then there are the subatomic particles, the energy inside of the atoms that are vibrating at specific measurable frequencies. Words, on the other hand, are not physical in the same way, but they carry energetic frequency through sound waves and meaning. So when words are spoken aloud, they do become physical vibrations, right? Your vocal cords vibrate, the air particles around vibrate, and those vibrations reach another person's eardrum, and that's measurable. When words are thoughts, however, they carry what we call informational frequency. So that is an energy pattern imprinted in the electromagnetic field that is generated by your brain and by your heart. This is what I like to call the creator field, because anything in that field actually creates what you see around you. Now, every thought and every belief has an accompanying electrical and magnetic signal. And that signal is also energy. And energy always vibrates. So while written or spoken words are not made of atoms per se, they either produce vibrational frequency through sound or movement, or they transmit informational frequency through intention, through emotion, which broadcasts out into the world through your electromagnetic field, through your creator field. Now, let's talk about why the frequency of words is so important. So, when you say affirmations or you just think things like, I am abundant, the words alone are meaningless unless the energy behind them matches what they are saying, is on the same frequency of abundance. So the frequency that influences reality isn't just the words that you're saying, it or the words that you're thinking, it's the vibrational signature and emotional signature and intention, all of these things that you emit while you are saying or thinking these words. So the quantum field doesn't respond to words, it responds to resonance. If your conscious mind says, I'm wealthy, I'm abundant, through affirmations, you're just trying to make that thought a reality. But if your subconscious and your frequency are vibrating at fear, at lack, at worry, the field picks up on those frequencies because that is the dominant frequency. We know that our subconscious mind runs 95% of the show. So whatever is the dominant frequency is what we're going to receive back. So when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to manifesting your desires, it really is mainly about tuning your energy so that your signal becomes coherent with your desire, with the same frequency that your desire is vibrating at. If you're thinking about massive success in your business, that is such high frequency, abundance, fulfillment, love. If you are, however, currently vibrating at fear, at lack, and at worry, you will never be able to see that success. It will never be able to meet you. I want you to think, and we're going to be talking about that a bit later in more detail, but I want you to think of each frequency as its own timeline. If you are on a timeline of fear and anxiousness, and your desire is at a timeline of love, you are living on two different timelines and you will never be able to meet. The desire can see you and you can see the desire, okay? And if we're talking about it in more practical terms, that means that you will never be able to see the opportunities that will get you that success. You will never be able to see the next steps, the clear steps that will lead you there, because you are not vibrating on the same frequency and you cannot see each other. You cannot meet. Now, I want to talk to you about a concept that is called the scale of vibrational frequency. And according to that scale, developed by Dr. David Hawkins, every emotion has its frequency, and he called it the scale of consciousness. And he basically said that every thought has a literal frequency that can be measured in hertz. He said that at the very bottom, at around 20 hertz, we have shame and guilt at around 30, fear around 100, anger about 150, and it goes all the way up. Love is 500, joy at 540, and all the way up we have enlightenment at 700 or above 700. I'm not sure about that, so don't catch me. Now, those numbers are symbolic, okay? I do want to make sure that I explain this. These numbers are symbolic. They're not like lab measured frequencies, but they do represent the relative levels of consciousness, of emotions that you can have in your reality. You have emotions that are much higher frequency, like love and enlightenment, or emotions that are a much lower level of consciousness, like fear, shame, worry, jealousy, and the list goes on. Now, none of this is really abstract, is it? You can feel it. I want you to think of the difference between walking into a room full of anxious people versus walking into a room full of laughter, or walking into a room where people are celebrating their granddad's 80th birthday, right? The frequencies are going to be so different. And that difference that you feel is a difference in vibrational frequency. Now, as I said, your external reality can only reflect the bandwidth, the energy that you are broadcasting from. So if you're living mostly in fear, in anxiety, you are resonating with the lower hertz range, with the lower hertz emotions. And your reality has to mirror that. It has no choice. And because of that, your reality will mirror back. You will create more situations that reflect that anxiety, that fear, that worry, whatever it is that you're feeling. When you, however, start feeling love, joy, fulfillment, you naturally attract experiences that match those frequencies. Now, as we know, most people try to change their external reality through very surface level things, whether that's actions, new habits, or even people that believe they're doing spiritual manifestation practices like journaling, like affirmations. All of that stays on the very surface level. And the reason for that is, as we talked about, the subconscious mind runs 95% of the show. So if you can, say the most incredible affirmations, journal your way out of like loops or bad thoughts or limiting beliefs, you can set new incredible goals for your business, for your life, for the next month, for the next quarter. But if your subconscious mind runs on a lower frequency than the things that you are desiring on a conscious level, that is never going to happen. Now, I do want to emphasize here that there are different areas of life, right? So you might be telling me, oh, I am actually a super loving person. I broadcast love constantly. And that might be true in the social area of life or in the family area of life. But when it comes to your business, maybe you're not feeling love. Maybe you're feeling more scarcity than love, right? And it's not like black or white. You might be feeling a bit of love for your business, but mainly feeling scarcity, mainly feeling worry or anxiety, mainly feeling jealousy of seeing other people who you feel like you should be on their level and they're already much further ahead. So it's not all black and white, and it could be that you manage to manifest the most incredible friends, the most incredible life partner, the most incredible children, because you are vibrating mainly on, the love vibrational frequency in the family or social area of life. But in the financial area of life or in the business area of life, you are probably vibrating at a much lower frequency if you're not managing to attract the sums of money that you want, or the clients that you want, or the level of business success that you want. And I also want to talk about survival, because I feel like so many people in the world, especially now, and some clients that come to me really live in survival mode. And one thing I want you to understand is if you are living in survival mode, your nervous system, your subconscious mind are going to focus all of their effort and all of their energy on one thing, and that is survival. So if you are finding yourself feeling in survival mode, running yourself to the ground every day with all of your habits and to-do lists and everything that you have to do. And I was in this place just like a year ago. I was waking up every day at 4:30 a.m., going to bed at 11 p.m., and non-stop doing work the whole day. I remember never feeling relaxed. Even as I was washing the dishes, I had to listen to a training in one of my courses. Like, things were always non-stop. And what happens is, again, you cannot manifest huge abundance, huge business success, because all of your resources go to survival in that moment. That is the frequency that you are broadcasting, and therefore manifesting abundance and success is just not on your vibrational frequency at all. Now, I want you to think of your energetic field, which I also like to call the creator field, as the invisible layer of information that surrounds your body at any given time. And it carries the total sum of your subconscious programming, your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, and your actions. And that is what you broadcast into the world, and that is what you get back. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together. And what that tells us is the more you think a thought, the more you believe a belief, the more you essentially strengthen certain thoughts, emotions, beliefs in your body, what happens is it becomes permanent in your subconscious mind. So over time, certain beliefs like I am not good at saving money, or certain emotions like anxiety around money, or fear around finances, or worry about business, or I don't know, lack of confidence around socials. All of that, when you think those things, when you believe those things on a continual basis, the neurons in your brain that are responsible for thinking these thoughts, they create these neural pathways that become stronger and stronger, and they essentially become your brain's default highways. So the body learns that this is how we feel. This is homeostasis. This is how we stay safe. This is what we know. And this is us, essentially. And that's why people can meditate, they can visualize, they can take the actions off higher frequencies, but they always return to the baseline of worry, lack of confidence, jealousy, control, whatever that is. And that is because their brain and their nervous system and their subconscious mind have labeled that as safe, as this is us and this is our baseline. Now, in quantum language, each emotional pattern, belief pattern, thought pattern corresponds to a certain frequency band, a vibrational range that your field is familiar with. And I want you to think about each vibration, each vibrational band as its own timeline. Now, when you stay in the same emotional vibration for long enough, when you think the same thoughts long enough, when you believe the same beliefs long enough, you stabilize a certain timeline in your mind in the quantum field, meaning you keep attracting and you keep perceiving experiences that are in that frequency that you have stabilized in. And I really like the metaphor of a radio station. So you can think of each emotional frequency, belief, essentially timeline that you're in as a radio station. Your nervous system, your brain, your field are tuned into that specific radio station, that specific frequency. And then the universe just delivers the playlists that are on that radio channel on repeat. But if you want to attract a desire that is on a different frequency, we have to turn the dial. We have to tune into a different channel in order for us to actually be on the same vibrational frequency that will allow us to receive the desire and to receive the manifestation. Now, the thing is, you cannot bully your nervous system or your subconscious mind into a different frequency. That is never going to work. The way to shift frequencies is to train your subconscious mind and your nervous system to feel differently, to think differently. It is to suffocate the old patterns, the patterns of low vibe thoughts and beliefs and emotions, and to train them to start feeling, thinking, believing differently. You need to get your subconscious mind and your nervous system to a point where they feel like it feels safe to feel the next emotion up the ladder. So you might be slowly going up the ladder from shame to anger, from anger to neutrality, from neutrality to pride, from pride to love, and so on. Every time you train your subconscious and your nervous system to go up the ladder to the next emotion, to the next level or the higher frequency emotion, belief, thoughts. And again, this is the lifelong work, okay? You will not go from shame to enlightenment very quickly. And enlightenment is something that takes a lifetime of work. This is why I like to talk about manifestation in terms of a ladder, because we always want to move one step up the ladder. We want it to be pushing us, but we also want it to be something that feels possible. And every time you go up the ladder and you make a new emotion, a new vibration, your new normal, that is when you will start seeing experiences, opportunities, desires that are on that same frequency coming to you. And you can literally see the shift. I've put myself in a 40-day manifestation vortex, and today is day 21. And I might do a whole episode about it actually in the future, because I've been doing very unique practices every day. I've been doing practices that have been really helping open my heart chakra and essentially getting myself to a conscious and constant state of love. And the opportunities and experiences that have come my way since I started challenge, this vortex, have actually been unreal. Things I didn't even know I needed or wanted have just been knocking on my door. Like, for example, I got a free intuitive read from my mentor in LA, and he's a person who is very, very well known, has decades of experience in the field, charges thousands and thousands of dollars for a read with him. And I just got an email randomly like, hey, you won a free read with me. I didn't even know I was in any giveaway or anything like that. And that is what happens when you shift your frequency. And again, I love doing this in 40-day increments. That's something that I think this is now the third time I've done it. The first and second times I did it were actually years ago, and I chose now to get back into it. And yeah, the shifts have just been incredible. And that is what happens when you intentionally shift your frequency. Things that match that frequency that you couldn't even think about because you were not on that frequency, right? They suddenly come, they feel good, but they also feel normal. They feel like, of course, I will attract these opportunities, these payments, and these clients. So, we talked about how each vibrational frequency is essentially a timeline, right? Now, we know in quantum physics, their energy exists essentially as a wave of possibilities, or as I like to say it, all timelines exist at once. You can think about yourself seeing hundreds and thousands of different paths ahead of you, and you can walk on each one at any given moment, depending on your frequency and identity as well. But identity we'll talk about on a different episode. But essentially, we normally just keep walking on the same path because that's what we know and that's what our frequency is tuned into. That's what our radio, that's the channel that our radio is tuned into, right? But the truth is, and this is proven by quantum physics, at any given moment, if you shift your frequency and you shift your identity, you can just shift paths. You can immediately find yourself on a different path where different frequencies exist, and therefore different opportunities, different experiences, different things that come to you exist and just happen. So that is essentially what happens when you shift your frequency. You can literally immediately find yourself on a different path with different experiences, different opportunities, and different incredible results that come in, and that happens so quickly once you shift your frequency. Now, inside the Recode method, which is my signature manifestation method that I teach all of my clients that can shift your reality in minutes every single day, we work at the intersection of energy/frequency and identity. Both are at the root of your reality, and they determine the external reality that you experience at any moment, because manifestation is not random. Results are not miracles. I like saying that manifestation is a methodology. It's a process of aligning your frequency and your identity with your desire, and that is actually much faster and much easier than you can imagine. So many people out there tell you they need to do years or months of shadow work, trauma work, inner child healing work. That is not what I believe in. And I have seen quote unquote miracles happen with myself and with clients with learning how to shift your frequency and your identity at the root in literal minutes. And this is what we do inside of my Recode method. So what this method does in literal maximum 10 minutes a day, it is a mixture or a blend of subconscious rewiring, nervous system regulation, and energetic calibration, moving you from a frequency of potential lack, fear, scarcity to a frequency that is on the same level as the desire that you are targeting, that you are intending to get in that 10-minute session. So when I say that it is not a miracle, it is a methodology, I literally mean it. Once your inner data, which is your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, hold the same frequency as the outcome that you desire, the external world has no choice but to rearrange to match your new frequency. So it is literal methodology, it is not luck. And as always, listeners of this podcast have 50% off the Recode method. This is something exclusive to the Full Body Yes podcast listeners or viewers if you're watching this on YouTube. So check out the caption for a special link that will get you 50% off immediately. Now, I'm telling you, if there is anything at all that you need to manifest and you are a person who wants to do things quick, you do not have the patience, and you honestly just don't believe in lots of trauma healing and just taking yourself through months and years of tedious work, this is for you, and this works. I've had clients tell me that they literally have been able to manifest things by just thinking about them after learning the Recode method. And here's a little simple practice for you to begin shifting right now and this week. Okay, so throughout the week, throughout the day, I want you to maybe set an alarm for 3 times a day. When the alarm goes off, I want you to pause immediately, feel into your field, feel into your body, and ask yourself, what frequency am I broadcasting at this very moment? If at that moment you are feeling heavy, you are feeling tight, or you are feeling rushed, you are likely vibrating at a lower frequency. So in that very moment, it is so easy to change your frequency, or at least to bring yourself to neutrality, right? So I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to unclench your jaw. I want you to drop your shoulders. And I want you to, whatever you're doing in that moment, I want you to just slow that down for a minute, and you will see a shift in frequency literally immediately. Now, if you repeat that shift, that tiny little shift, even a few times a day, a week later, you will feel a change in your frequency. You will be vibrating at a higher frequency already. So this is just a little practice for you to start shifting. It doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't need to be complicated. Just something to get you out of the loop of fear, guilt, jealousy, worry, whatever that is, into a slightly higher frequency. And again, if you really want to dive deep, if you don't just want to slowly change your frequency, but you want to make sure that you're doing intentional work every single day to get to the frequency of your dream life, this is where the Recode method comes in. It literally collapses timelines. So just to wrap today's episode up, you do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you vibrate out into the world. When you learn to stabilize your energy at the frequency of your desired reality, matter around you has no choice but to match that frequency that you are vibrating. Now, if this episode changed something in you, expanded your understanding of what frequency is, what timelines are, I would love it if you can share that with me. So you can either share the episode on Instagram and tag me at Dr. Shiri Leader. I would love that. And of course, I would reshare that on my own story. Or you can just DM me and tell me what's changed for you, what you got from the episode. You know, I put my heart and soul into these episodes, into helping people understand quantum manifestation, understand that things can shift very quickly for them. So I would love to hear that from you. And if you are enjoying this podcast, I would love it if you can also go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and just rate the podcast at hopefully 5 stars, because the more you rate it, the more it can get to more and more people. And that is my mission in this lifetime. I really want to spread this knowledge to as many people as possible, because manifestation and quantum leaping do not need to be hard, and they do not need to take years. And my mission is really to help as many people as possible change your life with this knowledge and with these tools. So thank you so much for being here. I love you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.